They made him say please 10 times in front of everyone, laughing harder with each attempt. Torres's face burned red as tears filled his eyes, while he struggled to form the simple word. "Maybe the broken boy should go home to mommy," Sergeant Wade sneered. Then the cartel breached the fence, and Torres picked up a sniper rifle none of them knew existed. His first shot was perfect. No hesitation, no struggle with words. Wade's laughter died when he realized the broken boy had just saved all their lives. Don't forget to subscribe, and let us know in the comments which country and city you're watching from today. Border checkpoint Sierra 7 sat half a mile from the Mexican border in South Texas, experiencing the most volatile period of 2019. This small outpost, defended by 18 National Guard soldiers, remained under constant threat as the Sinaloa cartel had intensified operations following intelligence about reduced border enforcement. Every dawn brought dozens of migrants attempting crossings. Every sunset brought drug smugglers testing perimeter defenses. The checkpoint's strategic location controlling Highway 83 made it a critical choke point in the endless war between law enforcement and organized crime. Specialist Carlos Torres arrived from San Antonio 3 months earlier. 24 years old, medium build, unremarkable appearance except for one devastating flaw: severe speech problems that worsened under pressure. Simple words became insurmountable obstacles. Basic military communication turned into humiliating ordeals that left him red-faced and trembling. In border security, where split-second verbal commands could mean survival or death, Torres appeared fundamentally unfit for duty. Staff Sergeant Michael Wade commanded Sierra 7's day operations. A 15-year veteran on his third border deployment, Wade believed weakness endangered everyone. Clear communication was survival. Hesitation killed soldiers. In his worldview, Torres represented everything wrong with modern military standards: lowered expectations producing inadequate warriors who couldn't function under pressure. Every morning at 6 a.m., Wade conducted tactical briefings in the main bunker. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as 18 soldiers gathered around tactical maps showing yesterday's incursions, today's assignments, tonight's anticipated threats. Wade invariably targeted Torres first, knowing the struggling soldier would fail to respond coherently. "Torres, report yesterday's Sector 7 patrol findings." Torres would stand, face flushing, hands trembling slightly. He'd attempt to speak, but the words would jam together, creating painful silence as everyone waited. Finally, he'd manage. "Sector 7. 4 suspected crossings near the—" His voice would crack, forcing him to start over while sweat beaded his forehead. The entire room would fill with barely suppressed snickers as Torres fought to complete basic sentences. "Faster!" Wade would bark impatiently. "Cartel doesn't wait for speech therapy." Torres would try again, struggling harder. 4 individuals moving north around 11 p.m. Wade would cut him off in disgust. "Jesus Christ, Torres! It's 4 people crossed at 11 p.m. Basic English. How'd you pass basic training talking like that?" The daily humiliation established a pattern that would define Torres's entire experience at Sierra 7. Every interaction became an ordeal, every conversation a potential source of mockery, every required response a reminder of his apparent inadequacy. Corporal Jake Martinez, Wade's unofficial enforcer, had dubbed Torres "Broken English," a nickname that spread through the entire detachment within days. Martinez found endless amusement in Torres's condition, often requesting him to speak during quiet moments just to watch him struggle. "Hey guys, watch this," Martinez would announce during evening meals when boredom set in. Torres, tell us about your hometown. Torres would attempt to describe San Antonio while fighting his speech problems, each halting phrase generating fresh waves of laughter. Martinez would provide running commentary. San Antonio, home of the speechless soldiers. The mess hall would erupt in cruel amusement as Torres sat silent, unable to defend himself, unable to participate in conversations that moved too fast for his halting speech patterns. But something strange happened during week 8 of Torres's assignment. Martinez noticed Torres seemed to understand Spanish conversations between Latino personnel, conversations that were deliberately conducted in Spanish to exclude others. When Martinez tested this by speaking rapid Spanish, Torres's eyes showed clear comprehension, but he never responded or acknowledged understanding. Interesting, Martinez thought, filing away this observation. Why would someone with such severe English problems understand perfect Spanish? Most soldiers with Torres's background struggled with both languages equally. Martinez began watching Torres more carefully during off-duty hours. The struggling soldier would disappear for hours at a time, claiming equipment maintenance duties. But Martinez noticed Torres's written reports contained technical terminology and tactical awareness that seemed inconsistent with his verbal communication problems. Late one night, Martinez decided to investigate. He followed Torres during one of his maintenance periods and discovered him conducting detailed surveillance of the Mexican border using thermal imaging equipment Martinez didn't recognize. Torres was documenting movement patterns, communication intercepts, and tactical intelligence with professional precision. More disturbing was Torres's behavior during these sessions. His speech problems seemed to disappear completely when he recorded voice memos in perfect, unaccented English. Martinez listened from concealment as Torres provided detailed tactical assessments that demonstrated military knowledge far beyond specialist level. Multiple armed reconnaissance teams conducting systematic surveillance of defensive positions. Torres spoke clearly into his recording device. Pattern suggests coordinated assault planning with inside intelligence support. Recommend enhanced security protocols and investigation of potential intelligence leaks. Martinez felt cold dread as implications became clear. Torres wasn't the broken soldier he appeared to be. But what was he really? And why was he gathering intelligence on their own defensive operations? Private Danny Richardson, 19 and desperate to fit in during his first deployment, initially felt sympathy for Torres since both were new and struggling with the harsh environment. But peer pressure proved stronger than compassion. Within weeks, Richardson joined the mockery, afraid that defending Torres would make him the next target for group ridicule. Richardson participated in the systematic humiliation, but privately felt guilty about targeting someone so obviously struggling. Late at night, when others were asleep, Richardson sometimes observed Torres working alone on equipment maintenance with surprising competence and precision. Maybe he's not as broken as we think, Richardson wondered, but never voiced these thoughts aloud. Torres's daily routine became systematic psychological torture designed to break his spirit completely. 6:30 a.m. Breakfast found him sitting alone at corner tables, while 18 voices filled the mess hall with rapid conversation he couldn't join. Any attempt to contribute would die in awkward silence, as others lost patience with his halting speech and resumed talking among themselves. Yesterday, I saw... Torres would begin, then struggle to continue while others waited impatiently for him to finish thoughts that seemed to take forever to express. What? Someone would snap. Spit it out. The pressure would make his speech worse, creating cycles of humiliation that reinforced his isolation from the group. 8 a.m. duty assignments relegated Torres to solitary tasks that minimized his interaction with others: perimeter fence maintenance, equipment cleaning, supply inventory management. "Keep him away from communications," Wade explained to other NCOS during private conversations. "Can't have him choking on radio calls during actual emergencies." But the worst humiliation came during mandatory training exercises when Wade would force Torres to practice radio protocols while the entire unit listened to his struggles. These sessions became entertainment for soldiers bored by routine border duty. "Torres, call in suspicious vehicle approaching from the south," Wade would command, knowing the struggling soldier would fail spectacularly. Torres would key the radio while the entire detachment watched expectantly. "Base, this is Post 7. We have a vehicle." His voice would break, words fragmenting into painful stops and starts that made communication impossible. The radio would crackle with static as base personnel waited for coherent information that never came. "Cut!" Wade would shout in exasperation. "Nobody understands that gibberish! Martinez, show him how real soldiers communicate." Martinez would take the radio and speak with crisp professionalism. "Base, Post 7, blue sedan approaching from Highway 83, 2 occupants, proceeding to inspection point. Perfect, clear, everything Torres couldn't manage despite repeated attempts." The psychological assault escalated when Martinez began recording Torres's failures on his smartphone. Videos of Torres attempting to recite military protocols, struggling through morning reports, choking on simple responses that should have been automatic for any trained soldier. These clips circulated through social media platforms, reaching other border units throughout the region. Torres became a viral cautionary tale, living proof of what happened when military standards dropped too low, when incompetent personnel were allowed to serve in critical positions. Comments on the videos were merciless. "How did this guy pass basic? Speech therapy before service. Broken English, broken soldier." The breaking point came on a Thursday evening when Wade had devised what he called educational entertainment for the entire unit. After dinner, 18 soldiers gathered in the recreation room, forming a circle around Torres, who stood pale and shaking in the center, like a defendant awaiting sentence. "Torres is going to recite the Pledge of Allegiance," Wade announced to the assembled group. "Properly," without struggling. "If he messes up, he starts over. We've got all night to get this right." Torres began with trembling voice. "I pledge allegiance to the flag." Each word emerged after visible struggle, triggering waves of laughter from soldiers who found his speech impediment endlessly amusing. Martinez held his phone steady, capturing every humiliating moment for later distribution. "Of the United States of America." Torres's voice broke completely as emotional pressure combined with speech problems to create total communication breakdown. Tears welled in his eyes, but Wade commanded him to continue the recitation regardless of his obvious distress. "Keep going. Real soldiers don't cry during the pledge." "And to the Republic for which it stands." The room erupted in applause disguised as encouragement, mockery masquerading as support. "Keep going, YouTube star," someone shouted from the back. The video went viral within hours across military social networks. "Broken English performs the pledge," garnered thousands of views, shares, and comments that destroyed what remained of Torres's reputation throughout border security units. He became a meme, the struggling soldier who proved modern military standards had collapsed beyond repair. From that night forward, Torres stopped speaking entirely. He communicated through nods, hand signals, written notes when absolutely necessary. His voice disappeared from daily interactions as completely as if he'd taken a vow of silence. Wade declared this development an improvement over previous attempts at communication. At least now, he doesn't waste our time trying to talk. Torres began skipping meals to avoid the mess hall, where his presence triggered automatic mockery. He performed assigned duties with mechanical precision, but avoided all human interaction that might require verbal response. Psychological isolation was complete. Exactly what Wade believed Torres deserved for failing to meet basic military communication standards. But what nobody suspected was that Torres's systematic humiliation served another purpose entirely. While appearing broken and defeated, Torres was actually documenting everything: conversations, schedules, personnel movements, security procedures. His apparent weakness provided perfect cover for intelligence gathering that would prove crucial in coming weeks. Meanwhile, Sinaloa cartel operations intensified throughout October as intelligence networks confirmed reduced border enforcement during government transition periods. DEA reports indicated major smuggling offensive planned for early November. Ovidio Guzman, El Chapo's son, had assumed operational control of border infiltration networks with strategy focused on overwhelming multiple checkpoints simultaneously. The cartel's plan required detailed intelligence about target facilities, personnel schedules, defensive positions, response protocols, weapon inventories, information that could only come from inside sources with access to classified operational details. Torres observed this escalation during solitary night watches that kept him isolated from unit social dynamics. From 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., he monitored thermal imaging systems, tracking movement patterns that revealed sophisticated operational planning far beyond typical smuggling activities. Armed reconnaissance teams conducted systematic surveillance of defensive positions. Communication intercepts suggested detailed intelligence about checkpoint vulnerabilities, personnel schedules, response protocols, professional military-grade preparation that indicated coordinated assault rather than random criminal activity. Normal protocol required immediate reporting of suspicious activities through established communication channels. But Torres's humiliating experiences with radio communications had created seemingly insurmountable psychological barriers that prevented him from following standard procedures. Previous attempts to report urgent situations had ended in mockery, dismissal, orders to speak clearly or shut up that reinforced his isolation from command structure. On October 15th, thermal imaging revealed 8-man team conducting detailed surveillance of Sierra 7's defensive positions, mapping approaches, timing guard rotations, identifying blind spots in perimeter coverage, professional reconnaissance that suggested planned assault rather than routine smuggling operation. Torres attempted radio contact. "Base, this is Post 7. Urgent report." His words emerged slowly, creating frustration for Duty Officer Corporal Stevens, who responded impatiently. "Torres, if you can't speak properly, submit written report in the morning. Stop wasting radio time with whatever you think you're seeing." Stevens cut transmission before Torres could explain the tactical significance of coordinated surveillance he was observing. The reconnaissance team spent 3 hours mapping defensive positions, gathering intelligence that would prove crucial for assault planning. Information that could have triggered enhanced security measures if properly communicated. Torres documented everything in detailed written report, but Wade filed it without reading beyond the first line. "Night Patrol Observation Report, all clear." Just another routine submission from the unit's most dismissed member, whose observations were automatically discounted. Similar incidents occurred throughout October as Torres observed supply convoy surveillance, communication equipment testing, approach route reconnaissance. Each event received minimal attention because information came from Soldier, whose communication problems made him appear unreliable. Professional tactical assessments were ignored because the assessor couldn't communicate them through normal channels. Written reports demonstrated exceptional military knowledge, but nobody read detailed analyses from someone they considered incompetent. What nobody knew was that Torres's personnel file contained carefully crafted fiction designed to support deep cover identity. Real records were classified at levels requiring presidential authorization to access. Specialist Carlos Torres was operational alias for one of the Army's most decorated special operations personnel. Staff Sergeant Carlos Eduardo Torres had joined the military at 18 following his younger brother Miguel's murder in El Paso. Miguel had been DEA agent investigating cartel money laundering operations when someone leaked his identity to Sinaloa enforcers. Miguel died in his apartment, tortured for information he didn't possess, killed for investigating crimes others wanted hidden. The leak that killed Miguel had never been identified. Federal investigations suggested corruption within border security agencies, but specific sources remained unknown. Miguel's death joined dozens of similar cases where law enforcement personnel died because operational security was compromised by unknown infiltrators. Carlos's real military record spanned 12 years of exceptional service that contradicted everything Sierra 7 believed about him. 75th Ranger Regiment deployment to Afghanistan, 3 combat tours with distinguished service records, Special Forces selection, Delta Force training, classified operations throughout Central America targeting drug trafficking networks. His marksmanship skills included 143 confirmed kills as designated marksman, Master Sergeant rank achieved in record time, decorations for valor that filled an entire display case. But none of this appeared in the fictional personnel file that supported his cover identity. Miguel's death had changed everything for Carlos. He volunteered for the most dangerous assignment possible: deep cover infiltration of border security units to identify intelligence leaks that got federal agents killed. For 8 months, he had endured systematic humiliation while gathering evidence of corruption that reached surprising levels throughout the border security apparatus. The October surveillance wasn't random criminal activity. It was confirmation of planned assault he'd been tracking since July through careful observation of cartel communication patterns. Enemy intelligence was too precise, too detailed for external reconnaissance alone. Someone inside border security was providing operational intelligence that enabled cartel forces to plan devastating attacks. Torres's mission was identifying that source through patient observation of personnel with access to classified information. His speech impediment was completely artificial, perfected through 3 months of intensive training with neurological specialists who taught him to simulate convincing communication disorders. The speech problems were carefully calibrated to discourage interaction while appearing authentically neurological. Psychological profiles suggested people avoided uncomfortable communication, making speech difficulties perfect camouflage for intelligence gathering among suspected security leaks. Every humiliation served operational purposes that his tormentors couldn't comprehend. Wade's mockery established Torres as harmless, incompetent, ignorable, someone who posed no threat to illegal activities. Martinez's recordings documented perceived weakness that reinforced cover identity. Richardson's rejection confirmed social isolation necessary for covert observation. Perfect conditions for deep cover surveillance of suspected traitors who felt comfortable operating around someone they considered too broken to understand or report their activities. But now, on October 24th, months of patient intelligence gathering were about to culminate in direct action. Thermal imaging confirmed assault preparations as 12-man team established overwatch positions around Sierra 7's perimeter. Heavy weapons included RPG-7s, automatic rifles, communication jamming equipment, professional military-grade assault equipment, not improvised smuggling tools. Torres attempted normal reporting procedures one final time. "Base, this urgent." Duty Officer Martinez cut him off with familiar impatience. "Torres, stop wasting time. Submit written report if you think you saw something important." But this time, Torres didn't stop. His voice suddenly cleared. Accent disappeared completely. Speech impediment vanished as if it had never existed. "Base, this is Sierra 7 Forward Observer. Multiple hostiles establishing assault positions. Immediate backup required." Martinez stared at his radio in shock. The voice was unmistakably Torres, but completely transformed. Confident, professional, using military terminology only special operations personnel knew. 12 armed hostiles, RPG-equipped, communications jamming capability detected. This is not routine smuggling operation. This is coordinated military assault with inside intelligence support. Throughout the compound, soldiers stopped their activities to listen. The voice-over communication system was definitely Torres, but speaking with authority, none of them had ever heard, using tactical vocabulary that suggested training far beyond specialist level. Wade grabbed emergency radio. "Torres, what the hell is going on? How are you talking normally? What happened to your speech problem?" "Sergeant Wade, I need you to listen carefully and follow instructions exactly. Take defensive positions immediately. This assault was planned using inside intelligence. Someone in your unit has been feeding operational details to cartel forces." While Wade processed this incredible revelation, Torres moved with sudden precision that contradicted months of apparent clumsiness and incompetence. From hidden compartment behind his bunk, he extracted military equipment none of them knew existed. Barrett M82 sniper rifle, advanced thermal optics, tactical communication gear. "Jesus Christ," Wade whispered as he watched Torres assemble professional-grade equipment with practiced efficiency. "Where did that come from?" "Been staged here since my arrival 3 months ago," Torres replied while setting up the rifle. "Waiting for confirmation of intelligence leak and target opportunity." He moved to prepared shooting position on the compound's eastern wall that provided optimal fields of fire. Range calculations appeared effortless, wind compensation automatic, target acquisition immediate. The transformation from bumbling soldier to skilled operator was complete and shocking. Range to primary target, 750 meters. Crosswind negligible, engaging hostile forces. First shot eliminated cartel spotter positioned in concealment, 800 meters south of the compound. Second shot destroyed communication equipment operator coordinating assault timing. Third shot neutralized RPG team leader preparing to breach perimeter defenses. Each shot perfectly placed. No misses, no hesitation. Primary targets eliminated. Cartel assault coordination disrupted, moving to intercept flanking element approaching from eastern approach. Wade and his soldiers watched in stunned silence as Torres, their broken soldier, demonstrated combat skills that surpassed anything they'd witnessed. His movement was fluid, tactical positioning perfect, target engagement professional. Every action showed years of specialized training that contradicted everything they believed about him. "Who are you?" Wade demanded over radio while trying to process the impossible transformation. "Staff Sergeant Carlos Torres, 75th Ranger Regiment, currently assigned to classified border security investigation. My cover identity ends tonight." The revelation that their most despised soldier was actually elite special operations personnel fighting to protect them created cognitive dissonance that left everyone struggling to understand reality. The assault continued for 37 minutes as cartel forces discovered their carefully planned quick strike had encountered prepared defenses led by someone who'd been tracking their preparations for months. Instead of overwhelming, poorly organized checkpoint, they faced professional military resistance that systematically destroyed their tactical advantages. When dawn broke over Sierra 7, 12 cartel operatives lay dead around the compound's perimeter. 0 American casualties. Torres's tactical leadership had saved 18 lives while completing intelligence mission that began 8 months earlier with his brother's murder. Post-action debriefing revealed shocking depth of cartel penetration throughout border security networks. Torres presented surveillance evidence gathered during his 3 months of apparent incompetence, photographed documents, recorded conversations, financial records linking personnel to cartel payment systems. Corporal Martinez has been providing detailed intelligence for 4 months, Torres explained to assembled unit while displaying evidence that would destroy their understanding of trusted colleague. Patrol schedules, personnel rotations, weapon inventories, defensive positions. Tonight's assault was planned using information only base personnel could provide. Martinez's arrest followed immediately as military police secured evidence that confirmed systematic betrayal. His smartphone contained hundreds of photographs of classified operational orders. Bank records revealed payments from shell companies traced to Sinaloa financial networks. Personal correspondence showed systematic recruitment and ongoing handler relationship. But investigation revealed Martinez was victim as much as collaborator in complex coercion scheme. Cartel operatives had kidnapped his younger sister in Tijuana 6 months earlier, forcing cooperation through systematic torture threats documented in weekly photographs showing escalating violence designed to ensure compliance. Classic cartel recruitment methodology, Torres explained to shaken personnel, who struggled to understand how trusted colleague became unwitting traitor. Research personnel backgrounds, identify pressure points, exploit family vulnerabilities. Martinez chose sister's life over unit security, understandable human response to impossible situation. Wade struggled with overwhelming guilt over months of systematic humiliation directed at someone who was actually protecting them. Staff Sergeant, the things we did to you, making you struggle through reports, recording videos, treating you like incompetent burden, like someone who deserved mockery and isolation? That was operational necessity, Sergeant. Deep cover requires believable weakness that makes targets comfortable. Your cruelty made me invisible, ignored, dismissed, perfect camouflage for intelligence gathering. But the psychological damage we inflicted was temporary and necessary for mission parameters. Complete social isolation was required to observe without influencing target behavior. Your systematic cruelty served essential operational purposes. Richardson approached hesitantly, still processing the revelation. Sir, the speech impediment was completely artificial. Completely fake, Torres confirmed. 3 months intensive training with speech pathologists to simulate convincing neurological disorder. Every struggle with words was calculated performance. Every communication failure was deliberate theater. Torres explained the broader investigation that had brought him to Sierra 7. Border security has been systematically compromised by cartel, intelligence operations targeting personnel vulnerabilities throughout the southwestern United States. 18 federal agents have died because someone leaked their identities to criminal organizations. My brother Miguel was one of them. The personal dimension shocked everyone who realized their mockery had targeted someone seeking justice for family murder. Torres's motivation wasn't just professional duty. It was quest for vengeance against those who killed his brother. Tonight's assault would have been followed by 5 similar attacks across the border region within 72 hours. Cartel strategy focused on overwhelming multiple positions simultaneously, while media attention was diverted. Your intelligence leak made those coordinated operations possible. Lieutenant Colonel Harrison arrived by helicopter for emergency debriefing, as Torres's real identity and mission were revealed at classification levels that required security clearances above most present personnel. Staff Sergeant Torres volunteered for this assignment after DEA agent Miguel Torres, his younger brother, was murdered in El Paso 18 months ago. Cartel execution following intelligence leak suspected at highest levels. Tonight's operation confirms systematic penetration of border security agencies. Harrison reviewed evidence Torres had meticulously gathered. This intelligence will lead to arrests of 15 cartel operatives and rescue of 6 hostages currently held for personnel coercion throughout the region. Outstanding work, Staff Sergeant. Torres's 3-month mission officially concluded with objectives achieved beyond original parameters. Cover identity blown, intelligence leak identified and plugged, assault prevented, lives saved. Wade approached for final conversation filled with remorse and newfound respect. Staff Sergeant, I need to apologize for everything we put you through. 3 months of systematic humiliation, public mockery, psychological torture designed to break your spirit. No apology necessary, Sergeant. Your reaction was tactically sound for perceived weakness in combat zone. Rejecting apparent liability protected your unit. You responded appropriately to carefully constructed deception. But we were completely wrong about you. Everything we believed was false. You responded to deliberately false presentation designed to test security vulnerabilities. That was operational intent. Sometimes protecting people requires accepting their hatred while gathering intelligence that saves their lives. Torres packed his specialized equipment while explaining deep cover methodology to soldiers who struggled to understand sacrifices required for such missions. Next assignment will require different disability, different weakness, different psychological profile. Maybe hearing impairment, maybe intellectual disability, maybe physical limitation that makes me appear harmless. You'd endure more systematic humiliation. If it saves lives, absolutely. That's the nature of deep cover operations, sacrificing personal dignity for mission success, accepting cruelty to protect those who inflict it. As extraction helicopter arrived for departure, entire Sierra 7 personnel formed respectful formation. Same soldiers who'd systematically destroyed Torres's apparent confidence now rendered honors to decorated operator who'd protected them while enduring their deliberate cruelty. Wade spoke for everyone. Staff Sergeant, we learned an invaluable lesson today that will change how we evaluate personnel. Never judge soldiers by apparent limitations. Sometimes the weakest appearing person is actually the strongest protector. Torres replied, "Remember this experience throughout your careers, Sergeant. You'll encounter people who seem broken, different, disabled, incompetent. Some of them might be protecting you in ways you'll never comprehend, enduring your mockery while gathering intelligence that saves your lives." The helicopter lifted off carrying Torres toward classified reassignment and new identity. Below, 18 soldiers watched their guardian disappear into morning sky. For 3 months, they'd systematically destroyed someone who was actually saving their lives through patient intelligence gathering. Martinez received reduced sentence in exchange for comprehensive cooperation that led to major cartel arrests throughout southwestern border region. His intelligence regarding recruitment methods, handler procedures, and coercion techniques resulted in protective custody rather than lengthy prison time. Sierra 7 operations continued with enhanced security protocols and completely changed unit dynamics. Wade abandoned his harsh leadership approach, never again mocking perceived weakness among personnel. Torres' story became a legendary reminder that heroes don't always appear heroic. Staff Sergeant Carlos Torres vanished into classified operations database, where his next identity, disability, and sacrifice remained unknown. But somewhere along America's borders, another soldier who appeared weak might actually be strongest protector of all. The border remains dangerous as cartel operations continue adapting to enhanced security measures. But now border personnel understand. Never underestimate someone because they appear damaged, broken, or incompetent. Sometimes the weakest soldier is actually unbreakable. Sometimes the quietest voice speaks loudest through decisive action. What did this story make you feel? Have you ever encountered someone who seemed weak, but proved to be incredibly strong? Share your experiences in the comments, and don't forget to like the video.